What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here's my fantasy football advice for NFL Week 6. Sleepers and studs. This fantasy football advice is for informational purposes only. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. Okay, in this video, I'm going to give you a sleeper and a stud for each position. And if you stay to the very end after all my picks and after I show you the Draft Dashboard tools, I'll give you my super secret sleeper pick that no one's talking about. At quarterback, I like Matt Ryan facing the absolute worst defense in the Tampa Bay Bucks, who give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. I think I've picked Matt Ryan almost every week, and last week was a disappointment. Only 15 fantasy points and a foot injury that may scare away some ownership and make Ryan even a better play. Forget about that 15-point game. Matt Ryan has scored 32 and 43 fantasy points in the last 2 games before that dud. Look for Matt Ryan to bounce back in a matchup that couldn't get any better versus a terrible Tampa Bay defense in Week 6. Okay, now for a low salary quarterback that may fly under the radar. I like Mitch Trubisky, the pick that everyone laughed at me about last week, and he went out there and scored 47 fantasy points. He was the QB in the Millionaire Maker winning lineup. The Bears have had a week off, so most people have probably forgotten about that game, and he doesn't have a great matchup versus the Miami Dolphins, who have been able to stop opposing fantasy quarterbacks so far this year. This means Mitch's ownership will be low, and I want to see what he can do coming off that 47-point fantasy game. Worth a shot in at least one lineup? Let's see if Mitch Trubisky can do it again in Week 6. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL, MLB is still going, NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Okay, let's take a look at running backs. My stud running back this week is Todd Gurley, with a fantastic matchup versus a bad Denver Broncos defense. Gurley has now scored 33, 26, and 29 fantasy points in his last 3 games. 22 rushes last game with 5 pass targets. Todd Gurley is a huge part of the Rams offense, probably the top running back in the league right now. The Rams have a powerful offense that can move the ball down the field and give Gurley plenty of goal line work. Gonna be a bit hard to fit him in at such a high salary. This will lead to lower ownership. Some people will take the risk and not play Todd Gurley to save that salary and use it to get better at other positions. Now for a low salary running back. This may be my favorite play of the week. Take a look at Chris Carson from the Seattle Seahawks with a terrific matchup versus the 4th worst defense in the league, the Oakland Raiders, who have given up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Chris Carson got 19 rushes and 32 the game before that, producing 23 and 17 fantasy points last game. This is amazing production from a low salary running back who will get so many carries and has such a good matchup. Not sure why Chris Carson is priced so low this week? Make sure you take advantage of it. Okay, who do we have at wide receiver? I have to go with Julio Jones as my stud wide receiver for Week 6. Again, it's between Julio Jones and Antonio Brown. Both have pretty good matchups, but the edge here has to go to Julio Jones, facing the absolute worst defense in the league. The Tampa Bay Bucks give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. This matchup is hard to ignore, and I think Julio Jones is due for a huge bounce back game. Only scoring 11 fantasy points last week off 9 targets, there's no doubt Julio Jones steps it up and makes a huge impact here in Week 6. For my wide receiver sleeper pick, I like Chester Rogers with a favorable matchup in Week 6 versus the New York Jets, who give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Chester Rogers has scored 15 and 19 fantasy points in the last 2 games, off 11 targets in each of those games. This is fantastic production for a lower salary player with low ownership. If T.Y. Hilton does not play, look for Chester Rogers to get double-digit targets again in Week 6. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. My Week 6 tight end stud is Jordan Reed. Look, the top tight ends, Gronk and Kelsey, play in the Sunday night game. So that makes Jordan Reed the stud for Week 6 Sunday slate. Jordan Reed has a decent matchup versus the Carolina Panthers, who have given up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Not sure what happened to Jordan Reed last game, only 2 targets and 3 fantasy points. A bad game kinda came out of nowhere. The Washington Redskins were absolutely dominated Monday night versus record-setting Drew Brees. I think anyone was gonna get smashed in that spot. That was Drew Brees' day at home, no matter who played them. Forget about that game. Jordan Reed should bounce back here in Week 6. If you need a lower priced tight end, take a look at Kyle Rudolph. He has a decent matchup versus the Arizona Cardinals, who aren't that great, right around middle of the pack for defense. Rudolph is getting 5 to 6 targets per game and has scored 16, 11, and 9 fantasy points in the last 3 games. Nothing eye-popping. That's why his salary has been trending down. Rudolph is playing at home in a game they should win versus the Arizona Cardinals. Look for Rudolph to be a big part of that passing attack and should find the end zone in Week 6. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to DraftDashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. You've unlocked the bonus content. My Week 6 super secret sleeper pick is Tariq Cohen. With a favorable matchup versus a weak Miami run defense that has given up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Tariq Cohen looks to be gaining favor over there in Chicago, scoring 33 fantasy points off 13 rush attempts and 8 targets last game. I don't think this was a one-game wonder for Cohen. I think we will see a lot more of him in Week 6. He is a dynamic player out of the backfield who can end up eating into Jordan Howard's touches and touchdowns. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for Week 6. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.